My name is Neelam Nanda. Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss designing of quantitative instrument. This lecture is part of your communication research. In research design, researcher gets a set of choices and options to conduct empirical research. Validity and reliability of the research are influenced by their choices, such as research questions and objectives, operationalization of variables, reliability and validity, and data gathering method. In conducting quantitative research, an important first step is to try to tune one's brain into seeing things through the prism of statistics. Beside these, a sound review of literature and a good knowledge about your respondent can ease your instrument designing. In this lecture, we will discuss the importance of quantitative instruments in communication research, the scope and the limitation of the quantitative research in brief. Quantitative instrument in communication research. Research is all about learning, advancing and exploring new knowledge. Good research satisfies curiosity but also leads a new and intriguing questions that need to be answered. Quantitative social science research provides an avenue for furthering our understanding about communication. Quantitative communication research is grounded on conventionalized approach to social science. Despite being a minority, quantitative research and re-research are disproportionately highly represented in the virtual all analysis of scholarly output such as publication rates, research funding and citation. Numerically, quantitative communication researchers presents a relatively small but highly visual minority of researchers in this field. In communication research, we are mostly deal with the questions like how are people communicating with each other? Second, what makes communication effective and competent? Third, how can communication competence and effectiveness be enhanced? To give answers to such questions and to establish facts, data support is required. So, various instruments are used for the collection of data and test its validity and reliability. Research instruments in communication research. The most commonly used research instrument in quantitative research studies, a questionnaire is research instrument consisting of series of research questions and relevant prompts for the purpose of gathering information from the respondent. Questionnaire is widely used, especially in the descriptive research studies. These are various steps that need to follow while framing questionnaire. First, knowing your respondents. Second, review of literature. Third, deciding what information should be extracted. Fourth, framing questionnaire and specifying instructions to the respondent. Fifth, pre-testing questionnaires. Sixth, re-examination and revision of questions. Editing the questionnaire and specifying the step to be used. Knowing your respondent, researcher must know his target population. Identify the population and categorize them in the relation to occupation, special sensitivity, education, ethnicity, language, etc. So before framing questions, researchers must spend ample of time with the respondent to know about their culture, belief system, so that later on he can avoid any ethical issues. Besides, the researcher should be well versed with the local language to communicate right from the localites. For that, he can make the help of the local guide or book to help him to develop language acquaintance. Reviewing the literature. All the related literature must be reviewed before constructing the questionnaire. It will save time and provide in-depth knowledge of the area you are going to study. Specifically, it will help in avoiding repetition. Lara Bay 2017 described about the utility of the good literature review in the following points. Give your new interpretation to the past work. Trace the previous debate and intellectual progress to the field of study you are involved in. Arrange each work carefully and logically with respect to context and objective of the study. Try to contact each work in correlation to each other. Find out new interpretation method of analysis and focus on the gap in old work to explore in future. It also helps a researcher in avoiding duplication. Try to figure out your own research in the context of the previous studies, deciding what information should be extracted. On the basis of your research objectives, you have to decide what information is required. Methods of data analysis is needed to be kept in mind throughout the process of information extraction. Suppose you want to know about income status of the people of particular area. Then you have to take large sample and should collect data to trace out their socio-economic profile. But if you want to know life history of some particular cases, then you need to apply case study and focus on the limited number of people with those cases and collect data. Constructing questionnaire and specific instructions to the respondent. Each item in a questionnaire must be developed to measure a specific aspect of objective or hypothesis. So, a researcher must able to analyze why a specific question is asked and why it's need to be analyzed. In such cases, making of dummy tables will be great help. Although both closed and open-end questions can be structured, yet mostly closed-end questions are preferred. Clarity of items by avoiding negative connotations is highly preferred to avoid misleading correspondence. Double-bed items must be avoided as they confuse respondent by enabling different answers to a single question. Difficult words and jargons should be avoided to make it understandable for all the respondents. Bohr and Gall 1983 suggested avoiding biased or leading questions while framing questions. The questions should be framed in such a manner with humble words that it will not form group or controversy among the respondent, while at the other hand, questions whose answers are known to everyone will be unnecessary. Re-examination and revision of questionnaire should be scrutinized to avoid any ethical defect. It should be scrutinized by all set of approaches and experts' opinions. If the suggestion requires negligible changes, then after minor correlations, the researcher should move ahead, but it is required substantial changes. Post-correlation, the questionnaire should be re-scrutinized again. Pre-testing questionnaires. There could be many unimaginary problems arise in the questionnaire like phrasing, sequence of the questions, adding and subtracting questions which should be avoided by the presenting of questionnaire. Celtis, ETCL 1976. So, sample from the population carrying all the characteristics of population should be chosen to test questionnaire. Pre-test and retest of the questionnaire will assure the researcher reliability of the questionnaire to gain right data. Pre-testing, also known as pilot study, a small-scale replica and a rehearsal of the main study. The main purpose of doing pilot study is to avoid any sort of organizational and administrative malfunction while conducting research. However, pilot studies serves many purposes irrespective of kind of research. In qualitative research, pilot survey helps in making decisions about the feasibility of the correspondent, conventional sites, reliability of technique of data collection, etc. Editing the questionnaire and specifying the procedures Finally, researchers should ensure that every element in the pass-through inspection, the content, spacing, appearance, and the questions arrangement should be appropriate enough. Editing and reviewing questionnaires involve many point revisions such as size of the questionnaire should balanced one, neither too large nor too small. It does mean that every question should carry a purpose or else should be eliminated from the list. Relevance of the questions should be checked thoroughly. Questions should be well connected to each other. Tone and content of the questionnaire must be clear. They must not be overlapped or irrelevant. Layout of the questions must be appropriate depending upon the question, open-end or close-end. There should be sufficient space for documenting the answers. Questions must be pre-coded. It makes them move defined, one-dimensional and easy to understand. The questionnaire must adequately cover all the aspects of research problem and objective to draw enough data for further data analysis. Demographic data. Demographic data covering respondents details age, gender, income, ethnicity, occupation should be placed at the beginning of the questionnaire. The questionnaire must be ethically justified. It should not violate any basic right of the respondent or information should not against the respondent's will. Testing validity and reliability. Test is a means to quantify the knowledge, skill, intelligence or aptitude of an individual. It produces numerical courses which are used to identify, classify and evaluate test takers. Gale, 1996. Validity and reliability of instruments need to be tested. Reliability and validity are the key indications of the quality of measurement instruments. Validity. Validity can be defined as the extent to which an instrument measures. Invalid research instruments can lead to erroneous research consequences. This in turn influences utilitarian aspect of research. Validity requires that an instrument to be reliable, but an instrument can be reliable without being valid. Validity expresses a degree to which measurement fulfills the purpose of measurement. A well-defined questionnaire should pose all the attributes to qualify validity test. Validity can be regarded as built-in error in questionnaire. Validity could be different type depending upon purpose of measurement. Different type of validity as categorized by the Borevilla 1915, Last 2001, Rotman 2005, Wong 2012. Face validity. Face validity carries the attributes of content validity. It becomes an established fact only when expert researcher evaluate the questionnaire and reach the conclusion that measures the characteristics or traits of interest. So, face validity demands for expert outlook and validation. However, Engel and Scott 2015 devaluated face value as reliable measurement for testing validity for being too casual and soft. Content validity. Content validity must ensure that it covers all possible dimensions of the objective of the study. For example, researchers want to know the problem of child labor across the country. So, the set of questions framed must ensure that they have covered all the aspects of child labor and their problems. Criterion validity. Criterion related validity is applied when the researcher wants to get score on some target criteria. For example, a researcher wants to compare the TSH level of thyroid patient across the year to find out the progress after medication. Construct validity. Construct validity is the measure through which validity of the questionnaire measured in terms of traits or theoretical construct. Devon Block, Moral Ethic 2007. Practically, it measures how meaningful the scale and instrument is when applied to practical field. Convergent validity. Sometimes a concept measured in different cases yield the same result. In such cases, one could include two different tests, self-report versus result yield out of the different tool of measure. Reliability. Reliability is yet most important as it ensures the internal consistency and stability of measuring device over time. As per classical test theory, any score obtained by measuring instrument is composed of both the true scores, which is unknown, and error in the measurement process. There are various methods to test reliability of questionnaire as discussed. Test retest reliability. Wells 2003 provides an evidence of repetition of the test score over a period of time and repeated observations that yield the same interest. However, result will be same when same instrument applied repeatedly. For example, answer to the particular question will be same when it asked to the same person under similar circumstances again after a period of time. Equivalence form of reliability. It's an alternatively known as alternate form of reliability. Researcher can check the result of particular factor by applying two different questionnaires formed at two different period of time. It's useful in case of verifying subjective statement made by number of respondents. Homogeneity of reliability. Internal consistency of an instrument in yielding the same result every time it's in use. Advantage and disadvantage of questionnaire. Advantage of questionnaire can reach a wide number of people easily and economically. Provide quantifiable answers, relatively easy to analysis, less time consuming than interview and observations. Disadvantage of questionnaire. Mostly argued to be insufficient when understood in a subjective sense with changing experience, behavior, relative emotions, etc. Phenomenologists considered quantitative research as artificial brainchild of researcher, lacking of validity, less scope of providing reliability of correspondence statement, no proof to demonstrate the logical input of the correspondent behind answering the questions, purely depend on people perspective, how they perceive particular question and answer accordingly. The researcher plays a monopoly when developing a questionnaire. Summary. In communication research, we study human beings, consumers and producers of the content in various forms, television shows, films, song, Facebook posts and various other types of content within different contexts, linguistic policy, legal, economic, technological and other forms of institutional settings. While conducting a quantitative research, we presume several hypotheses. So, the purpose of implementing quantitative instrument in communication studies is to draw authentic primary data to support your hypothesis. However, this is a debate between quantitative versus qualitative. For a researcher, the purpose of research is to unveil truth, and whichever method fulfills that aim is good research. That by framing questionnaire impartially with sound knowledge on the issue helps in avoiding validity and reliability issues. Do attempt the question in the self-evaluated quadrant. For further reading suggestions, please refer to the third quadrant. Thank you.